Hey guys, it's Kate 420. I'm back. And as you can see, this video is actually more broadly about something that you may have never even heard of, but once I caught wind of it, I felt like it absolutely there needed to be video made about it. Um, it started though, it caught my eye about 6 days ago when there was an article in the newspaper, and this was what it was about: SWAT breaking down the door when of a parent's home that don't take their child to the ER for a fever as recommended by the doctor because the fever had gone down. You heard me right. So let's get into this, and we'll you're gonna probably need to sit down, especially if you're a parent. Arizona, that's where it was at. I couldn't think for a second. I didn't want to jump to a state, but Arizona, that's where this whole SWAT team situation took place. And let's see here. Couple decided not to take feverish child to the hospital. Hours later, police kicked down their door. Let's take a look. Maybe. I hate when this happens. Hold on. Police breaking down door to check on child. Chandler father provided home security video. Okay, so this is his home security video of Chandler police breaking down the door of a family's home for a DCS requested welfare check of a child with a spiking fever after parents refused to give police permission to enter their home, saying their toddler son was just fine. After police officers busted down the door of a Chandler home to take a toddler with a spiking fever from his parents, advocates and a state legislator are questioning if a new law intended to protect families. Here we go. What just happened? There we go. You butthead. Play. Anyway, I give up. I don't know why it's moving all over the screen. I don't know what's happening, but I'm just gonna keep reading. So officers pointing their guns. I really wanted you to see this because they literally, you can see the door is off the hinge, guys. They literally took this family's door off the hinge. Here's the shield. Here it is. See it? Okay. And they literally took this family's door off the hinge over a child with a fever because the doctor had said take him to the ER. So anyway, officers pointing guns forced their way into the family home in the middle of the night uh, last month after the Arizona Department of Child Safety called police for a welfare check on a child with a 100-degree plus fever and no vaccinations. Here we go. Oops. Right off the wall. Look at them. Guns drawn for a child with a fever, guys. How many times has your child have a fever and you have said, okay, I'm going to give them a dose of Tylenol and ibuprofen, over the course of the next 6 to 8 hours and see if I can get the fever down? Is the first thing you thought to do to take them to the hospital? No, it's not as if Chandler, Arizona is Rockland County, New York, where they're dealing with a vaccination crisis right now because of measles outbreak. So anyway, parents had ignored a doctor's recommendation to take their 2-year-old to the hospital, saying their son's fever had decreased. Uh, Rep. Kelly Townsend, who helped craft legislation requiring DCS to obtain a warrant before removing a child from their parents or guardians in a non-emergency circumstances, said she was outraged by the response of police and DCS officials in this case. It was not the intent of the law that the level of force after obtaining a warrant was to bring in a SWAT team. The imagery is horrifying. What has our country become that we can tear down the doorway of a family who has a child with a high fever that disagrees with their doctor? Thank you. DCS officials did not respond to the Arizona Republic's questions about their policies for child welfare checks and warrants. Guys, this is going to get into a bigger thing. And this is Kelly Townsend, by the way. Um, she was part of basically reforming Arizona's CPS, child welfare laws and their loopholes. DCS placed 4,649 children in the foster system in the 6-month period ending December 2018. In the 6-month period prior to that, they removed 4,887 children. That's down from a mark high of 6,815 in fall of 2015, when nearly 19,000 children were in the foster care system, and families and child welfare advocates began pushing for a warrant law. The restrictions designated exigent circumstances when DCS may remove children without a warrant. Removing the child must be so dire that there's no time to use the electronic system to gain authorization from a judge who's on call 24/7. If they can do this to one family, they can do it to anyone, said Lori Ford. A member of the self-appointed public watchdog group. DCS took their kids and treated these parents as if they were criminals. A fever, a doctor's order, a parent's right to choose medical care for their child. It started with a visit to the doctor for a fever. Okay, guys, so the bigger thing we're going to get into in my video today is something that has been going on across this country for about a decade or so, that I remember hearing little stories about it, but they keep it hush hush. I mean, I'm sure we've all heard some stories about DCS that aren't pretty. DCS meaning Department of Children's Services, or maybe in your state it's Child Protective Services, or any number of acronyms. And acronyms. So first and foremost, this case happened pretty recently. It's actually, just a couple of days ago. This couple was found hiding with their son. So let's go over this, okay? This is what people, I guess what we're gonna call this, what people call this is called medical kidnapping, guys. Medical kidnapping. If you want to know more about it, that's what you're gonna find all kinds of the information that I researched on today, and it'll definitely blow your mind. It will blow your mind to know that your rights could be so invaded at any time just for not agreeing with your doctor when it comes to your child. All right, you guys, let's see here. Let's put him up here. There he is. All right, a Florida toddler, Joshua Noah Adams, 3, has been removed from his parents after they took him from a Florida hospital and denied him life-saving. Now, mind you, before I finish this was written by someone who, how do I say it? Who, I think had maybe a little bit more of a bias against uh, natural medication, natural healing. What do I call it? People who don't go mainstream medically, they look for alternative healing stuff. Well, the lady who wrote this article, you can tell, is not for that type of medication. Maybe not in this situation, maybe not at all. But I wanted to give you a heads up because the reporting is quite, biased. Come on, there we go. All right. A Florida toddler, Joshua Noah Adams, 3, has been removed from his parents after they took him from a Florida hospital and denied him life-saving medical care in favor of herbal remedies, according to the police. Authorities appealed to the public after 3-year-old Noah's mother and father allegedly failed to bring their little one to the hospital April 22nd for a medically necessary procedure. Apparently, the hospital can get a court order to force a parent to do chemotherapy for their child with that diagnosis. Okay. Hang on one second. I'm going to go through this here. And see, there is more to this. I want to be fair. I want to give both sides. So, sorry, I just got to reload it. Sometimes my stuff is so crappy when I'm recording for you guys. I hate that. Okay. Anyhow, It says, authorities appealed to the public after Noah McAdams' mother and father allegedly failed to bring their little boy to the hospital for a medically necessary procedure on April 22nd. Missing endangered child read an alert put out by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. It didn't take long until Noah and parents Josh and Taylor Blandball, 22, were found in Georgetown, Kentucky. He is in need of a lot of medical attention, but safe. I don't understand why it keeps doing that when I'm trying to go down. I just got to go like this. Go over here. There we go. Sorry, guys. It didn't take long. Oh, yeah. He's in need of a medical attention, but safe. Police said of Noah, whose parents were being investigated on suspicion of child neglect. Noah was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia last month, according to his mother. Damn it, I did it again. Oh, I need to learn how to edit. I just don't ever do it because this one thing that I use to videotape, it doesn't get, or to videotape. Wow, that's old. To screen record, I mean, doesn't allow you to go back and edit. I guess I could do it if I saved it and went to another program with it and all that. But I just like to get them out for you guys. So anyway, let's get back to my messing up everything like I always do. Okay, Blandball said Noah underwent 2 rounds of chemotherapy, noting because they can get a medical court order to force you to do it anyway for a child with his diagnosis. But said he also benefited from holistic treatment. Rosemary, colloidal silver, vitamins B, B17, and C, collagen, reishi mushroom tea, and grapefruit peel were among the home remedies his mother gave him, she wrote. But police characterized Noah's parents' choices concerning his care very differently. The parents have further refused to follow up with the life-saving medical care the child needs, said the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Blandball has continued to take to social media to document her feelings on the matter as well as share updates on her and her husband's status. Our hearts are broken. All we want is for our boy to get healthy, biologically sound treatment. No neglect here, considering his levels are the best they've ever been. Still cancer free after 2 weeks without chemotherapy. Shocker. Thank you for staying with us. The couple's supporters have called the state's taking custody of Noah medical kidnapping, a term becoming common in circles of skeptical traditional medical care when authorities take steps to ensure a child receives such care when it is believed to be necessary. It goes on. All right, hang on here. Because I don't know why that whole darn page keeps doing that, but yeah. It goes on because there's a whole lot more to this. He's not the only one. This is an ongoing thing, guys. And it seems to be a lot to do with parents not allowed being allowed to have their rights to make a medical decision for their child. So, of course, every time I decide to do a video, I always end up finding a case of this in my state, whatever it is, whatever I'm researching, whatever I'm working on. It's always going on in my state. So, new details emerge in the New York medical kidnapping case. All right, let me just do this here. All right, and not that long ago. Let's see. Yeah, Nicholas Gunderson, 15, right? 13, sorry. Nicholas Gunderson, 13, is battling an aggressive form of leukemia. Doctors and CPS, there we go. Let me go over here really quick so I don't do it on this page too. I got to see what's going on with that. Something must have got changed where my scroll down has now turned into a zoom because it keeps zooming my page in and out like an idiot. There. Anyway. Doctors and CPS argue Nicholas needs to complete several rounds of chemotherapy. Let's see here. To treat the cancer, obviously. Candace Gunderson, his mom, wanted to use alternative health treatments to keep Nicholas in remission. CPS took custody of Nicholas. His mother took to social media and accused CPS and doctors of medical kidnapping. Okay. Nicholas's mother says doctors misdiagnosed her son with the wrong form of cancer. After they received the diagnosis, she immediately asked for a second opinion. However, doctors from New York NYU Winthrop told her Nicholas did not receive an incorrect diagnosis. Nicholas got very ill from the chemo, which happens, and his mother wanted to pursue other alternatives for his next round of treatment. Candace is a wellness coach. I'm sorry. She wanted to explore natural methods for keeping Nicholas in remission. She worked with doctors in Florida to develop a treatment plan. CPS agreed to that treatment plan. However, Nicholas needed to return to chemotherapy October 25th, and at New York NYU Winthrop. And when she did not return October 25th with her son, she said CPS had changed their tune about her treatment plan. CPS brought an emergency removal hearing on October 19th to seek control of Nicholas. And Dr. Mark Weinblatt testified that he was in immediate danger if he did not return for chemo. Nicholas, who was 13, was very upset about being in the hospital having chemo again. All right, let's see. This is another real biased one. It talks a lot about, the GoFundMe pages. They're always worried about what these people are making in GoFundMe. I mean, it's our money. Shouldn't matter who we give it to. But anyway, he believes he doesn't have cancer and that he doesn't need treatment. He doesn't understand the severity of his diagnosis, says the doctors. On to the next case, guys. I mean, some of these are really bad. In February of 2013, 14-year-old Justina Pelletier was medically kidnapped, according to her family. Oh, here we go again. See, yeah, something's messed up. I have to figure it out later. I can't do it right now. I'm recording. So we'll just go right here. There we go. Okay. And kept for more than a year by authorities, guys, at Boston Children's Hospital, while Boston Children's Hospital doctors rejected Pelletier's then diagnosis of mitochondrial disease, which a team of doctors at Tufts Medical Center had provided. Boston Children's Hospital stopped providing her with medication for that disease and diagnosed her with somatoform disorder instead. Justina's parents are currently suing Boston Children's Hospital for medical kidnapping. All right. Ready? Here we go. Lou Pelletier. That's Justina's father. He states, "This wasn't our first rodeo. We have been through this with our oldest daughter, Jessica, who is also diagnosed with mitochondrial disease. So we already had a connection to Tufts Medical Center in Boston. They literally saved Jessica's life. She wasn't able to eat. She was basically dying here at Hartford, Connecticut, and getting her to Tufts literally saved her life. It was there that they came up with the official diagnosis of mitochondrial disease. And Lou and Linda's experience with Jessica and her diagnosis at Tufts helped them recognize what was happening with Justina, who started treatment for mitochondrial disease in September of 2011. So this gets crazy. Sunday, February. Wow, February. You guys, I need some sleep. Sunday, February 12th, 2013, Justina came down with the flu, which hits mitochondrial patients particularly hard, according to Pelletier. After speaking with Chief Doctor, the head of genetics at Tufts, basically he wanted her to see a GI, a gastrointestinal doctor. But Tufts head GI had just left and was conducting research at Boston Children's Hospital. So Justina was taken by ambulance. She was supposed to go through the ER straight to the GI floor. But unfortunately, in the ER was a young neurologist who comes in and basically, without telling us, they change her diagnosis, said her father. She's admitted to the neurology floor shortly after changing the diagnosis. They stopped giving Justina her mitochondrial medication. After 3 days, she had still not seen a GI doctor. Finally, late Wednesday evening, they threw. Oops, where'd it go? Finally, late Wednesday evening, they threw a piece of paper at my wife called Guidelines for Care for Justina, which basically says you can't speak to any other doctors. We are taking her off her medications. Basically, we are in charge of her now. And on February 14th, Lou went to Boston Children's Hospital to meet Linda to have Justina discharged because he had a previously standing appointment with her metabolic doctor at Tufts Medical Center. Lou says that he went to the nurse's station to introduce himself and said he was there to discharge his daughter and take her to Tufts, and they kind of hemmed and hawed. And as time was passing, he started to see security guards to the left and to the right and behind. It wasn't looking good, so they called the police department to say they believed that Boston Children's Hospital was about to kidnap their daughter. After some back and forth, the police said it was the hospital's decision. Blows my mind. What do you mean? They didn't. Wow. Um, it made no sense at all. We were taken into a room with a neurologist and a psychologist, and they came up with this bogus diagnosis of a psychosomatic illness called sotoform. That it basically meant it was all in Justina's head. The director of psychiatry at Boston Children's Hospital is also the author of a medical textbook on, guess guys, that's right, sotoform disorder, pediatric sotoform. The psychologist who diagnosed Justine had written 4 papers on, you got it, sotoform. And because the parents weren't following protocol, they decided to do what's called a 51A report to the Department of Child and Family Services to take custody. They said they were just following the Tufts protocol. The next thing they knew, security was escorting the parents out. They were not even allowed to say goodbye to their daughter. They were told to go to the DCF office in Roxbury, Massachusetts. Wow. That's insane. So that's just part of it. It gets way worse than that, but I'm going to tell you, long story short, it took 15 months. This girl was in the hospital for 15 months before her family was able to gain custody of her back and get her appropriately treated for her correct condition yet again. Which is why the family is suing Boston Children's Hospital for medical kidnapping. Now, I'm going to scream at this thing in a minute. God. This is a little bit more wow, because I found a couple cases where DCS really pushed this Munchausen by proxy disorder, what do you call it, a diagnosis on these mothers who didn't want to follow the protocol that their doctors had set forth for their children. So this says that the teen underwent unneeded surgeries and so on because of the mother. But again, if you read this, or the many freaking cases, it sounds like they just immediately seized this child upon their own ideas of what was going on, and therefore making the mother look terrible. Right here, mom claims hospital is negligent. Doctors at Fox Children's Hospital reportedly said McMichael didn't need a wheelchair or a feeding tube, though Campos maintains they are the ones who prescribed the wheelchair. Campos accused the hospital of negligent care after she claimed she found her daughter saturated in urine and her feeding tube machine beeping. CPS workers reportedly showed up within 2 hours and then again 3 days later. McMichael was removed. Sorry. I get so distracted when every time that happens. It makes me sick. I want to start all over, but I won't. From the Campos home in November after officials at Mox reportedly accused her of Munchausen by proxy. Accused her. No, I mean, there was no history of this woman bringing the child in injured constantly and saying it was, sick. There was real sickness there. Says, I've never done anything to make her sick. I've always done my best. It's insane that in order to get custody of your child, they can literally make you, the mother, look like you are sick in the head. And of course, as always, there's always this little behind the scenes thing going on. Medical kidnapping. Is Big Pharma responsible for the majority of nearly 500,000 children put into the U.S. foster care system? Well, I mean, they sure aren't innocent. That's for darn sure. Let me see if I can get this up there quickly. There we go. This was the first medical kidnap.com banner of kids that had went through medical kidnapping. Now, that is an actual page. That was where I got a ton of my research from. It's medicalkidnap.com, and it's article after article after article after article of cases where parents had lost custody of their children over not agreeing with their doctor. And if you, it all goes back to this now, because Nancy Schaefer put out this, Georgia Senator Nancy Schaefer, she put out this scathing report, they call it, in 2007, the corrupt business of child protective services. I have it up here. It is way too long to put in a video, but I suggest any parent who finds himself in a situation where you feel that this could possibly be happening to you, or may happen to you, the minute you don't agree with your doctor, or the minute CPS knocks on your door. This isn't just about the medical kidnapping part. This is the corrupt business of CPS. They are behind, there was a profit modem involved in the foster care system for a very long period of time. So, there was a reason to go yank kids out of homes where in all reality they didn't need to. Here's Justina's case again, real quick. But this is Nancy Schaefer, guys. This is at medicalkidnapping.com, I believe. Come on. I want to play. Oh, every time. So over this stuff. It's like some articles will play, some won't. It's irritating. I'm sorry. Let's try it again one last time. I actually haven't heard of this video, so that's why I wanted to hear it. So yeah, we just talked about this case, but there's so many more on. I'll show you. I'm gonna switch over there in just a second. Here we go. Let that load up. Medicalkidnap.com. I was looking at this one about the police. Oh yeah, here we go. A corrupt police assisting in CPS and trafficking children. I mean, this just goes on and on and on and on and on. Nonstop articles. You can just keep pressing all day and it will just keep going. Cases of nonstop medical, and they just keep going. There's five pages, 6 pages later, you're still going. And it's sad to know that this is happening and no one is talking about it. No one seems to really call it what it is, and that's medical kidnapping. That's the corrupt business of CPS. That's the people who say they're here to reunite you and your children are not. The people who are supposed to be there to support you and help you, make the correct decisions for your children are not. Because the minute you don't agree with those decisions, no longer do you have rights as a person, as a parent to that little person. The state can step in and say, you know what, even though you have carried this child for 9 months and financially supported it up until whatever age it is at now, we are going to step in and remove your rights from you to make medical decisions, the most private, personal of all decisions, medical decisions for your child. All right. So this is the right here at parentalrights.org, guys. That's where you can find this whole what do you call it? This whole summary from Nancy Schaefer on the corrupt business of Child Protective Services. I think I'm going to do some more videos based around the topic of, corruption in the CPS department. I think that it's something that I'm passionate about, and I hope that you guys will check out my videos when they're not so amateur. It's a good thing I just do this for fun, huh? All right, guys. I'll catch y'all later. Have a great night. Bye.